Holy Sonnets, Batter My Heart, Three-Person God, also known as Divine Meditation 14, by John Donne. Batter my heart, three-person God, for you, as yet but knock, breathe, shine, and seek to mend, that I may rise and stand, overthrow me and bend, your force to break, blow, burn, and make me new. I, like a usurped town to another due, labor to admit you, but oh, to no end. Reason, your viceroy in me should defend, but is captive and proves weak or untrue. Yet dearly I love you, and would be loved fain, but am betrothed unto your enemy. Divorce me, untie or break that knot again. Take me to you, imprison me, for I, except you enthrall me, shall never be free, nor ever chaste, except you ravish me. This metaphysical poem, meaning it is filled with elaborate figurative languages, original conceits, paradoxes, and philosophical topics, from 1633 is sure to confuse many people not familiar with the vernacular of the time, along with Donne's fierce descriptions. The first line, "Batter my heart, three-person God," entails Donne asking the Holy Trinity to batter his heart. He wants his heart to be taken over forcefully rather than gently, which is the idea that makes up most of this poem. As yet but knock, breathe, shine, and seek to mend, again reinforcing the idea that he wants God to violently take over his heart rather than mend his heart as he's been fighting to do his whole life. You're forced to break, blow, burn, and make me new. Take over me, beat me, make me suffer so that I may be made new through salvation, or as we know it, to be saved after death or going to heaven. I, like a usurped town to another due, labor to admit you, but oh, to no end. Here he is comparing himself to a town being taken or captured by something or someone else, most likely the Anglican faith he submitted himself to out of peer pressure. He wants to let God in, but is struggling as he has turned from God through his Anglican faith. Reason, your viceroy in me should defend, but is captive and proves weak or untrue. He reports to God, God is his master, but Donne is being held captive and is therefore weak and cannot commit himself to God. Yet dearly I love you, and would be loved fain. Donne loves God and would love to be loved back, but am betrothed unto your enemy. He is engaged with God's enemy, Satan, who he feels he is in support of due to not allowing himself to throw himself fully into his faith. Divorce me, untie, or break that knot again. He asks God to break the tie between himself and the enemy. Take me to you, imprison me, for I, except you enthrall me, shall never be free. He wants God to imprison him, to keep him in his faith. He must suffer to reach salvation. Nor ever chaste, except you ravish me. Donne will abstain if God takes over him completely. John Donne was a poet of the 16th century. Born in England to Catholic parents, he was not free to practice his religion at the time as it was illegal to do so in England. The Catholic Mass became illegal in England in 1559 under Queen Elizabeth I's Act of Uniformity. Thereafter, Catholic observance became a furtive and dangerous affair, with heavy penalties levied on those known as recusants who refused to attend Anglican church services. It was through these experiences in which Donne got the inspiration for most of his poetry. Catholics were the persecuted minority, and his relationship with Catholicism was passionate. However, later in life, pressured by all those around him, he eventually converted to Anglicanism, though his true faith never left him. And although not recognized for his work until centuries later, it was these poems that crowned him the title of founder of metaphysical poetry. The metaphysical poets are known for their ability to startle the reader and coax new perspective through paradoxical images, subtle argument, inventive syntax, and imagery from art, philosophy, and religion using an extended metaphor known as a conceit. Donne reached beyond the rational and hierarchical structures of the 17th century with his exacting and ingenious conceits, advancing the exploratory spirit of his time. His poetry is meant to awaken the reader and have them question faith, spirituality, religion, and being. The big paradox of Donne's Batter My Heart is that to reach salvation, one must be rescued from sin and then be recaptured and be completely conquered by God. He asks that God perform what would be sinful tasks, but are done in order to save him. He does not want mercy from God. Rather, he wants him to engulf him, to overpower him, to take such charge of him that he cannot escape from God, and God may become his everything, and that he may suffer as to be saved and go to heaven. If God takes him prisoner, then he may be free. If God ravishes him, he will be chaste. He explores this idea throughout his poem through his desire for more attention from God as a battle in which God fights against him. He paints vivid scenes for the readers through violent verbs: batter, bend, break, blow, burn, divorce, untie, ravish. Filled with metaphors from him being a captured town to being betrothed unto the enemy, makes readers ponder the philosophical questions of life, such as their faith. For me, this poem was extremely powerful to read, especially with the verbs done used. It became more passionate the more I began to understand it and brought to light questions of my being. It is definitely a very powerful poem, and it's no wonder that Donne was crowned the founder of metaphysical poetry. With this poem being so filled with metaphors, and many of them using broad language, we can only begin to understand what was running through Donne's mind. I hope everyone liked my interpretation of Batter My Heart. What do you guys think about this poem?